Hello and welcome to Commentary with Paige. I am Paige. Um, this is my first podcast, so we're gonna see how this goes. Gonna take something that I absolutely love, watching movies, and hopefully you love watching movies too, and that's how you found me. And yeah, today we're gonna be watching Jurassic Park, 1993, the OG with Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. I have my phone here as I am using it for notes because we all need notes. Um, I am going to be using IMDb.com for most of the accurate trivia, making sure that I have names correct and stuff like that. IMDb, I am not sponsored, but I love their website. So yeah, I'll be using a lot of them for trivia facts, and we will also be going through and possibly Googling um, dinosaur facts, things like that. Anything that I don't know, that's what we'll be using. So shout out to them. Okay, let's get started. Pull up your Jurassic Park movie, and we'll get going in three, two, one. So, fun fact about Jurassic Park is that we were like as a nation really pushing for like the space race. We did it, we got to the moon. Everybody wanted to become an astronaut. Well, when Jurassic Park came out, there was all of a sudden so many people going to school for paleontology, and there was a real push for paleontology after the Jurassic Park movies came out. And I just think that's really fascinating how the film industry can affect our literal way of life. The movies that we watch can actually become so much of a passion that we decide to make a job out of it. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So, fun fact I recently learned here at the beginning with the tree shaking, initially they were going to have a crane bring in the box with the velociraptor in it. And kind of to mimic the brachiosaur, um, they ended up going with the forklift for, I think, logistic reasons. I'm not 100% sure. But I thought that would have been really interesting to see kind of a crane mimic that. So we'll pull up a little bit more trivia here. Um, let's see. So this is again IMDb is what I'm using here. And it says, according to the behind the scenes book, The Making of Jurassic Park, an adventure 65 million years in the making, the infamous roar of the T-Rex was a composite mix of a dog, penguin, tiger's snarl, alligator's gurgle, and a baby elephant. Baby. Okay. The very deep alligator vocals acted as the low frequency element of the roar. However, as Gary, I'm going to butcher his name, Rydstrom stresses, the key part of the sound is the high frequency element, the baby elephant. Rydstrom describes how during the recording session, the baby elephant only did the iconic cute high-pitched scream that forms the basis of every T-Rex roar in the film once. We kept trying to get it to do it again, and the handlers were saying, we never heard it do that before. That's a weird sound. As Rydstrom stresses, the introduction of the T-Rex is a scene expressly planned around sound design. I think maybe other directors would have had a shock moment where you see the T-Rex showing up out of the blue. Spielberg was great in the T-Rex scene by getting several minutes of tension because you knew that was coming, and you knew it was because you heard it before you saw it. It's nice when movies think of sound that way. All right, so now we're in the Dominican Republic, and I don't speak Spanish. And one day I was watching with the captions on, and it auto-translated, and it says something like, I bet you 100 pesos he falls. And I think that's really funny because it would have been really funny if he did fall. Oh, another fact I recently learned is that so they're supposed to be in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of amber is found in the Dominican Republic, amber and like the gem trade. Um, they have a really high amber content, but a lot of the amber that they have was formed after the dinosaurs were around. So they probably wouldn't be finding dinosaur DNA in the Dominican Republic. He's a digger. So, kind of going back to how there was a huge influx in paleontology after Jurassic Park came out. Well, at the time, a lot of the facts that they have here were true. So, um, for example, um, maybe in this sequence, so we're looking at velociraptors in the Badlands of Montana. Well, there's not actually velociraptors in the Montana. Velociraptors were a more Asian-based dinosaur, and they're significantly smaller. But the fossils that they were finding in Montana at the time the movie was made, so they would have been in production in 1991, 92, because the movie came out in 93. A lot of the fossils they were finding were of a velociraptor cousin. I can't pronounce it. I'm not a paleontologist. Dive, nice, is it? I'm sure paleontology will correct me in the comments. Um, so I'm gonna give it a pause right here. So I'm pausing at minute 6:34. Um, so yeah, the dinosaur that you're seeing on screen here is not a velociraptor, but in fact this other raptor. Um, which is much more significant because if you take this tiny little velociraptor that's the size of like a Labrador retriever, not necessarily as scary. But in Utah, Utah is famous for the Utah raptor, which is another close cousin of the velociraptor. Any raptor is going to be a decently close cousin according to dinosaur law. And Utah's Utah raptor is a significantly large raptor. The Utah raptor, I think, is like 8 feet. I'm going to search it. This is why we have our phones during our podcast. Utah raptor. Oh, I'm a little off. So the Utah raptor is the largest raptor, um, measures 20 to 23 feet long and 5 to 6 feet high. I guess I was a little off. 8 feet is more than a little page. You should know better. Um, but a 5 to 6 foot dinosaur, that's kind of what we're seeing here, which is close to a Utah raptor. Okay, we're gonna press play. So here, um, you hear Dr. Grant. He's gonna he's gonna say that velociraptors were closely related to birds. Um, let's see. Ah, here it is. The half moon shaped bones. They could have learned how to fly. Um, the hollow sacks in the vertebrae. So yeah, raptors are closely related to birds. Well, we now know, since that influx of paleontology, we have a lot more fossils to study. And a lot of raptors, if you look at their arm bones, have little nibs on them that would have been where their feathers would have attached to their bones. So they would have had feathers, whether or not they could fly, maybe fly like a chicken, where it's just more of a gliding across or flying like a true bird. I don't know if they know. Um, but yeah, there's a fun dinosaur fact for you. And he'll stay right back. Can we just appreciate Sam Neill? May he rest in peace. Then he scares the kid by bringing out that claw. So another fact I recently learned, he's Dr. Grant's got this claw out and he's discussing, how velociraptors at the time they believed that they used that claw to slice, to cut, to, maim their prey. Well, I recently learned that scientists now believe that um, the claw may have been more used to grab and hold, so like in the shoulder, grab and hold, not necessarily to cut and slice. Um, which makes, for me, it makes sense because that claw isn't serrated. It's not serrated like a knife. It would have taken a lot of force to, cut through bone. Maybe your jugular or your stomach area would have been a little bit easier, but, you know, you have a lot of force. So it's more like a grappling hook where it's just grabbing and holding onto your prey, like an eagle or a hawk would make sense. So anybody who's seen Jurassic Park has probably seen Jurassic Park 300 million times. I've seen this movie a lot in my 30 years on this planet. And I was watching it the other day, Sam Neill passed away. Um, we're gonna get ready to pause here in a second. So I was watching it the other day in honor of Sam Neill, and instead of looking at, the characters and listening to the dialogue, I started actually looking at the set and the set designers. And there's some funny points I want to point out here. I'm gonna pause here in a second, so let's get ready. Okay, who's the jerk? Paleobotanist. Oh, and if you watch Hammond, that towel will move and it changes colors on occasion. And if we pause right here, so I'm at minute 11. Oh, wow, 11 exactly. If you look on the fridge, there's some really interesting articles. The one on the bottom, sorry, Dr. Sattler, but right near her buttock, the article says, "Space aliens stole my face." And I think I had to pause. I was laughing so hard. I had a full rolling on the floor moment. And um, I don't know if that's a nod to Steven Spielberg's E.T. or some other movies, but I think that's a really interesting piece. And we'll press play. Another fun fact, again, if you're watching kind of the background, um, Hammond pulls out kind of some random glasses with that champagne. If you look over to, it would be his right, there's sets of like goblets, wine glasses, champagne flutes sitting on the counter. Why we're not drinking out of the fancy glasses, I don't know. We're just using the normal ones. Again, looking in the set right by Dr. or not Dr. Hammond, Mr. Hammond, there's a sign that says all paperwork must be completely filled out. And I think every office, whether you're in a, ology or business, doctor's office, every office needs a sign that says all forms must be completely filled out. Pull back up IMDb here. So Hammond says, I have a jet standing via, I think, Chaco. I always thought he said, I have a jet standing by a chopper. That makes sense. So you have a jet next to a helicopter. No, the jet is standing to take them to Costa Rica to go to the park. I only recently learned that again. It's amazing what you learn. San Jose, Costa Rica. Oh, I read a fact in here about Costa Rica. Hold on. I had to do a little study before we started this. Dots, we got dots in here. We're not there yet, but I am laughing. Um, we got dots in here. Yeah, that's funny. My sister, we say that to her a lot because she's kind of the center of attention in the best way. She's amazing. I was reading, I can't find it now. I was reading that the San Jose's where they're it says, it says we're in San Jose, Costa Rica. Well, it was saying in here, and I can't find it, that San Jose is not in Costa Rica, something like that. I'm not gonna lie, that shaving cream totally looks delicious sitting on that piece of pie, though. And here they are flying in the helicopter. Okay, I did. Okay, I did. Let's read another fact. So, let's see, from IMDb again. When Hurricane Iniki hit, Iniki? I think it's Iniki. The cast and crew were all required to move to the ballroom of the hotel that they were staying at. Sir Richard Attenborough, however, stayed in his hotel room and slept through the entire event. When asked how he could possibly have done this, he replied, "My dear boy, I survived the Blitz." That is the best thing ever. John Williams is a master, does amazing work. But I will say, I swear every John Williams score sounds like one of three movies. It will either sound like Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, or Indiana Jones. And once you know that, you will always be able to tell that it's John Williams because it will sound like one of those three movies. It just ties himself in like that's gonna help. Would love to go to the island that this was filmed on and see the waterfall. When we went to Hawaii, it was my senior graduation trip. My whole family went to the island of Maui, and there was like two things I wanted to do. There was one day we had discussed maybe island hopping. I said I want to go to Oahu and visit Pearl Harbor, and I want to visit Kauai and visit the Jurassic Park waterfall. We never did end up island hopping, so those two are still on my bucket list, but maybe one day. Okay, I'll pause right here. So they just closed the gate. They're about to close the gate. It's minute 18:57. I need an engineer or somebody in electrical to explain to me this is a metal gate. We know it's a metal gate. I'm staring at it. It's a metal gate. It's got the electric wires running through the metal gate. I currently am not seeing any rubber or anything to indicate that there's stoppage of voltage to the gate itself. And this guy is wearing a pink t-shirt and a pink belt. I never noticed he's wearing a matching pink belt. That's awesome. Again, the things you learn. He's wearing a t-shirt and no rubber gloves. He's not wearing any safety gear. When he clicks it shut, clearly it's electrified because the little green light turns on. I'm assuming to tell the audience that, hey, the fence is now electrified. And yet his hand is still on this metal gate with 10,000 volts. Wouldn't the gate be electrified too? Like, how is he touching this 10,000 volt gate? So I need somebody to explain that to me. Pressing play. We got moats, motion sensor. The moats we will come back to because we are going to discuss the moats around the T-Rex paddock when that comes up. I also have questions about that. No, you won't, because you'll be dead. Spoiler alert. The lawyer dies, in case nobody knew. Something's going on my computer. I apologize. There we go. Here's another question. You're coming up. You're on top of a ridge. This brachiosaur is not 100 feet away from you. How did you not notice it before the car stopped? I mean, I could see her because she's invested in this leaf from the Cretaceous period. But how did nobody else see the dinosaur? And as much as I want to blame Land Before Time for my love of the long neck, I would actually have to say it's this moment. Brachiosaur is one of my favorite dinosaurs. Crazy son of a bitch, you did it. As a kid, you don't realize how much swearing there is in this movie, and then, you grow up and become an adult and you're actually paying attention. You're like, oh, they swear a lot in this movie. Boom. No, you're not. Well, I guess you are. You said you got a T-Rex? Say again. We have a T-Rex. Something to notice about Sir Attenborough. In the beginning of the movie, he has a pretty decent Scottish accent because he's in the movie canonically from Scotland. He discusses coming from Scotland to start his flea circus. But as the movie wears on, his accent becomes more and more English until it's his normal, just regular English accent. Right? They're moving in herds. He looks a lot like his brother. I'm referring to Richard. Sir Attenborough looks a lot like his brother David, who does all of the nature documentaries. I saw a funny fan video the other day. I think it was on a podcast. I can't remember. I saw it on Instagram. Somebody's like, David Attenborough is God, who was sick of all of us ruining the earth and came down and is doing all these nature documentaries to make us fall in love with the earth again. And I'm like, you know, that would make sense. I like here how in when you watch Jurassic World, the skeleton of this T-Rex is still there. They brought that back in Jurassic World, and I think that was a beautiful nod to have not only this building, but kind of that moment of the broken dinosaur. Pulls out his cards. So Dr. Sattler has those classic 90s glasses because everybody in the 90s had them. My mom has the same pair. My mom still has those glasses. And as a kid, I'd like to wear them and pretend I was a paleontologist. I was in sixth, seventh grade. Actually, I think it was seventh grade. We watched this clip of dino DNA guy in my science class because we were talking about DNA. And I sat there, I quoted the whole thing, just said it as they were going. My teacher got annoyed with me. Mosquitoes, just like today. Mom, I'm on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sand. It's kind of sour. I think that's funny. Not alcohol, also not sponsored. Dino DNA. So if you look at this, you see all the genetic lettering, the G, the C, the T, A. So if you fast forward to the random lettering on the velociraptor, it's all the DNA coding. It's the G and the C and the A and all the letters that come with uh, DNA. Baby dinosaur. Rawr. Genetics, fertilization, hatchery. I love this. Autoerotica? No, they're not autoerotic. Again, the things you don't pick up as a kid. Can they do that? And if we have any Disney fans, we've got BD Wong. There he is. Shang from Mulan. Shang. Oh, and she comes to the little baby. I love how you have the claw there, and then all of a sudden the claw's gone. Claw was there, claw's gone. Oh, the little baby dinosaur. Oh, I want to pet it. I am that white woman that looks at a dangerous animal and goes, I want to pet it. Little baby. So I've always wondered if, dinosaurs are more reptilian. And I know, like with snakes in particular, they lay soft eggs. Their eggs are very soft and swishy. They're not hard like a chicken egg. When we're sitting here with the baby velociraptor hatching is more like a chicken egg. Chicken kind of pecks its way out, where a snake has a little tooth on the front of its on the front here and slices open this really soft, supple egg and is able to get its way out of it. And I wonder if dinosaur eggs are more like that soft egg versus a chicken egg. I'm sure some dinosaurs had chicken eggs, but so another fun trivia fact from IMDb. Universal Pictures paid the author of the book Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton, $2 million for the rights to his novel before it was even published. That's pretty cool. Oh, here comes the line. We all know the line is coming. Breathe. Life finds a way. We love it. Beautiful execution, too, of the line. I like if you look at the attorney in the background here, he just keeps looking back and forth going, ha 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 ha. He kind of looks like an idiot. Well, they're feeding them with a beef cow. That cow was awfully close to Dr. Grant right there. And if you'd seen prior, he was just kind of standing there, nothing in front of him. Cow gets lowered in. So, in this scene where everything's shaking, we in real life know there was no dinosaurs there. Great visual though. Um, he's just so excited about these raptors eating a cow. We as the audience cannot see that. There are reports that in before they rendered it for Blu-ray and the 3D copies of the DVD, that you could see the set guy or an assistant or somebody in a white shirt shaking the leaves. I have never seen it, and I've seen this on VHS, but could be there. I don't know. Keep your eye out. Maybe you'll see it. Maybe it's just John Hammond then they're shaking it. And, uh, and then I love you just had this cow mutilated. There's not chunks. There's a smattering, like the tiniest smattering that you can't even tell is there of blood. But there's like no, it just more looks like it got mixed up in your disposal unit than anything. Coupon day or something. I like looking at the graphs in the background because it shows, they knew the movie was going to come out in 1993, so the graph, there's some of the graphs in the background that their attendance or their projected dates started in 1993. That's just fun fact. Now we're selling. Now we're selling. I'm looking for another fun fact. I did not know that Sam Neill was knighted. Sir Sam Neill fumbled through several takes of giving Tim CPR, trying to avoid physical contact. Finally, with Joseph Mazzeo's permission, he actually performed mouth-to-mouth. Mazzeo now refers to this as his first on-camera screen kiss. That's cute. I wouldn't classify it as a kiss, but good for you. I love how nobody's eating here. It's supposed to be Chilean sea bass, and nobody has a fork or anything, even in their hand. It's just set decor at this point. They don't have waters. Sorry, you have to sit here and listen to me eat popcorn. But I'm not sorry at how good it tastes. I like how the lawyer was giving me business advice. Oh, you could charge 1,000, 2,000 a day. No, you're a lawyer. You don't get to decide that. Oh, she's so happy. And Dr. Grant's just like, oh crap. Oh no, not more kids. I left Montana to get away from kids. He spares no expense. And yet, you know, he's not paying the one guy who runs the entire system. Figure that out. I read your book. I like how he's wearing a little ascot like Dr. Grant. I know that's a little nod, like they did that on purpose, but it's still super cute. So I have a fan theory, total fan theory. Um, if you can kind of watch Dr. Settler in this um interaction between the kids and Dr. Grant, she's kind of just observing, watching, and she's kind of pushing the kids onto Dr. Grant. And here in a second, you'll see she kind of gives them the cutest, I think it's the cutest picture of Laura. Um, she got a little finger next to her mouth. She gives him the cutest smile. And I have this fan theory that she's actually pregnant, and that's why she's kind of pushing kids on him. So, like, because it's such a minor detail. Maybe it's in the book. I never read the book. I really should read the book. Maybe there is something more about that in the book, but um, because it's such a minor detail to have this thing with kids, at the beginning and right here in the movie. Why, okay, whatever. But I think that Dr. Sattler was pregnant, and this was her kind of, because she gives him that cute little smile, and then Dr. Grant goes, "Yeah, I see you," and nods at her. I think that was him figuring out that she's pregnant. Of course, nothing ever happens of it because I think due to the stress of everything that she went through, especially with, being chased down by a velociraptor in the bunker, that maybe she had, you know, a miscarriage or something along those lines. Um, but that's my personal theory, and I'm sticking with it. Dilophosaurus. Ooh, let's pull up some fun facts about Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus. So according to Wikipedia, um, Dilophosaurus was a theropod that lived during the early Jurassic in North America. There have been three skeletons discovered in northern Arizona in 1940. The two best preserved were collected in 1942. The most complete specimen became the holotype of a new species called Megalo, Megalosaurus in 1954. Um, the name means two-crested lizard. Let's see. And was 23 feet in length. So big as a Utah raptor. See, Dr. Hammond's constantly like, I spared no expense. And this guy's all moaning because he's not getting paid enough. He's literally running the entire grid. Pay him whatever he asks for. I also like how there's like a small handful of computers. I know it's 1993. There weren't a whole lot of computers at the time, but this park is running off of computers, and there's a small handful of computers in the main room with like four people. You see a couple people walking in the background, but there's no one at desks. It's Neidry, Samuel L. Jackson, and the other two. That's it. The dinosaur. It's the big T-Rex. Well, God creates dinosaurs. God's gonna destroy the dinosaurs. Then he creates man. Man is gonna destroy God, and man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth. Oh, let's bait the T-Rex with a goat. And here we see that the plane of the paddock is surface level. It's the same level as the cars. And then later you have the car falling down a 100-foot cliff. Like somebody. I don't understand that. Because I would have done it like, kind of classic, you know, apex predator pen and put a giant moat in between you and the apex predator. That's just me. I totally just dropped that piece of popcorn. So IMDb says, in return to Jurassic Park, the 2-hour making of documentary series released for Blu-ray, Steven Spielberg admits that the shot of the Barbasol can falling away from Nedry and being covered in mud was intentionally inserted to set up a potential sequel. It was not in Michael Crichton's second book, The Lost World, where Spielberg then realized the story would go in a different direction. But we do see the Barbasol can being brought back in Jurassic World Dominion. I want to say it was Dominion in Crazy Guy's office. So there's a fun fact there. I even think it's been a minute since I've seen Dominion, so I'd have to go, but I think he said something along the lines of it took us forever to find it or something. Uh-oh, there he goes, jumping out of the moving vehicle. There she goes. And then what's he say? We need locking mechanisms. Why? Because apparently we did spare expense. Of course you need locking mechanisms. Who's gonna stay in the car when there's dinosaurs running around? No. Also, why would you put a bathroom by the T-Rex? No. Apparently, there are 3 versions of the end credits scroll. In the initial theatrical release, the THX logo was gold-covered. The DTS logo was black inside a gold box, and the standard Dolby Stereo logo was present. This was the version used for VHS and Laserdisc releases. At some point, new prints of the original version were made in which the THX logo is now black inside of a gold box. The DTS logo was gold against black with a gold outline, and the Dolby logo was replaced with the newer spectral recording Dolby Stereo digital logo. This was the version used on DVD, Blu-ray, UHD, and streaming releases of the original version. In the 3D version, the THX logo was gold against black with a gold outline. DTS was replaced with newer Datasat logo, and the spectral recording Dolby Stereo digital logo was replaced with the newer Dolby logo, and that is used in the 3D prints of the film. So we're looking at the Triceratops, and the doctor's name is Dr. Harding. Who is Dr. Harding? Well, Dr. Harding, in my mind, is in the second movie, and she's dating um, Jeff Goldblum, and that's Dr. Harding. So, are they related? Who knows? Maybe. Here's another question I have. So, you have a hurricane coming. I get this is more for theatrical, but realistically, you're building a theme park on an island. You're going to get tropical storms, hurricanes, etc. Wouldn't you just have a bunker for all of your staff and or visitors to go to instead of having to leave the island and all the animals to fend for themselves? Also, she grabbed the wrong end of the glove. If you pay attention, she didn't roll it inside out, she just kind of pulled it off, and now she's holding it. Kind of gross. Doink. Hmm. I am curious why a paleobotanist, somebody who studies, ancient plants, is interested in the veterinary care of an animal. I am interested in the veterinary care of an animal, but if I were to be like, hey, I'm gonna stay and help with this T-Rex, I'm pretty sure I'd get shooed out of the area. Right? So you're seeing the mosquito in there. Apparently, that is a male mosquito, and Hyman's cane, and it would not have had blood to get the DNA. Maybe that's why it's his cane now, is because they didn't use it for DNA, and he was able to keep it. I don't know. Some of the minor systems might go on and off. It's fine. Don't worry about it. This is the 90s when everything went on. We had dial-up internet if you had internet. So, one of my favorite Jurassic Park facts is very much my Lord of the Rings, he broke his toe. We all know it. My fact that I say every time is that the rain, the water, affected the T-Rex and short-circuited it, and it would just randomly just start coming alive, moving on its own. You know, and I think it's funny because could you imagine? It's dark. You're the security officer of Universal Studios, and, and all of a sudden you just see the thing just move. You're like, nope, I'm out. Another fun fact about the T-Rex is um, the skin would get waterlogged and would start like sloughing off of the robotic, off the frame. So they'd have to stop every now and again, quickly dry off the dinosaur, get the rain going again, and action, cut, gotta dry off the dinosaur again. Action, that's funny. Fun fact for me anyway. Dr. Sattler's not available, is she? She's been hanging out with me the whole time. Her leg was pressed up against me in the helicopter. What do you think, doofus? Here's another question I have. Why is Nedry going into the park? I'm assuming the boat is somewhere not in the park. But no, he's going into the park. I don't know where he's going. There's just a random picture of a donut. I mean, it is very smart. Turn off the power, quick escape. But, buddy, you got no power, you got dinosaurs all over you. So, Nedry's driving Jeep number 12. I have a kid, um, who lives kind of over by me, and he also has Jeep 12. He he got himself, I think he had two. I think he sold one though. But he has a Jurassic Park Jeep Sahara in the beige and red, number 12, in Cambridge. Okay, we're gonna get our remotes ready because there's gonna be some pausing up here. So just keep it in your hand because it's gonna come. Well, the remote's not. You know what I mean. Clearly, this is not family. I didn't say you were scared. I know. De Niro's asleep just there. Eyes closed, head cocked. No. Sir, you were just talking to Dr. Grant. How are you asleep? Here he goes again. Eyes closed, head cocked. There's no way he got that much water just holding his hand out the window with that water bottle. Dumb. So, in order to get the water to ripple like it did, they had someone under the dash. They shoved a guy up under there, knocked it. Now, I am in that. Am I Gen Z? Am I millennial? That's, that's when I was born. So I don't remember a whole lot of the early internet power issues. So somebody older than me, somebody more adulty is going to need to confirm. Did the power really knock? Because was like, maybe it's the power coming back on. Somebody's got to tell me. Did the power do that? Did it knock trying to come back on during the power outage? There's the leg. Which, by the way, that leg will disappear. That's like the last time you see it. So we see Gennaro's door open. Keep an eye on that door. It's open and it's closed. Also, why are there no doors on those bathroom stalls? See? Okay, so there's the leg still. Here comes the T-Rex. There's no leg there. Door's back open. Watch that door. Watch it. Door's closed. We now know, again, in the 90s, we did believe that the T-Rex's vision was based on movement. We now know the T-Rex's vision is not based on movement. It is, they actually had very good eyesight because their eyes were because the way their eyes were set up on their skull. Oh look, door's open again. And now it's closed. We're good now. Still got your remotes? Oh, where'd the leg go? The leg is gone. Apparently that louder noise is an elephant. We learned that earlier. Interesting. Okay, here we go. We're gonna pause. Ready? Leg's gone. Right. So if you pause right there, so I'm at 1 hour, 5 minute, 59 seconds. You can see that the glass on top that the T-Rex just pushed down. It's clearly broke. Okay, that glass is broke. Press play. T-Rex just came down again. I've just paused it again. 1 minute, 6 seconds, 3. 6 minutes, 3. Right before that, when you see the kids, you see the whole piece of plexiglass. It's not broken. Now, if you see here where I've paused again, 1 minute, 1 hour, 6 minutes. Where am I at? 50 or two, 3 seconds. The glass is once again broken, and you can kind of see the T-Rex jaw. The top lip is is in the hole where that broken glass is, but the broken glass is up by their heads. Pressing play and pause again. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 11 seconds. That glass is no longer broken. That top lip is on top of the glass and is no longer kind of curling around the glass. So there, that glass breaks on and off. And get ready to pause again. 1, 2, 3, pause. Okay, so 1 minute, 1 hour, 6 minutes, 24 seconds. I've heard in newer releases of Jurassic Park, you no longer see this. I am using an online video version, so obviously they didn't get it all. But right where you pause, where the vehicle's rolling, you get a very lovely image of a light on a stand, a plant in a pot, and the wire that is used to help control the car when it's being overturned, and a whole bunch of other pieces of set back there. Again, that is my he broke his toe moment. Chewing up the car. I know the ground is wet, and that T-Rex pushing down is going to cause the car to sink. But that seemed like way too much mud. I love how Dr. Grant just stands there. If you're watching him, I know he's supposed to be frozen, but that T-Rex is clearly on Dr. Malcolm. He could book it for that other car. Oh look, now there's doors on the bathrooms. There wasn't a minute ago. And the whole thing just crumbles. Like, out of all those toilets, you just have the one now. The others are in the back. Figure that out. Okay, now we're gonna watch Dr. Grant's hat. Watch hat. Okay, we love T-Rex. Hi, Rexy. Hat gets blown off. It disappeared. Car gets turned. Hat is gone. And from that moment forward, you never see his hat again. He has it in the third movie and in Dominion, but it is not the original hat because it is no longer in this movie. Unless somebody went back and got his hat for him. Okay, so we know the T-Rex escaped right there by their vehicle. It got out of the cage right there. So why is there a giant hole? I don't understand. She totally could have grabbed it there. Woo! Gosh. Good job, girly. Girl power. Oh, there's Dr. Settler. So, fact from IMDb. When the guests encounter with the sick Triceratops ends without any clear explanation as to why the animal is sick. Michael Crichton's original novel and the screenplay include the explanation. The I think in the book it's supposed to be a stegosaurus because it says stegosaurus slash Triceratops. Lacked suitable teeth for grinding food, and so, like birds, would swallow rocks and even use them in gizzard stones. In the digestive tract, these rocks would grind the food to aid in digestion. After 6 weeks, the rocks would become too smooth and useful, and the animal would regurgitate them. When finding and eating new rocks to use, the animal would also swallow West Indian lilac berries. The fact that the berries and the stones were regurgitated explains why Ellie never finds traces of them in the animal's excrement. But that is a nice nod that they did add the West Indian lilac to the movie. I mean, you see her asking, "Is this West Indian lilac?" No, they're not toxic because the animals don't eat them. Well, then she goes searching for the poo. They don't find any because apparently they've been regurgitating them. So that's a fun fact. Funny. When Michael Crichton was asked why the novel has Jurassic in the title and has a dinosaur from the Cretaceous period on the cover, he replied that it never occurred to him and admitted that was just the best looking design. And you know what? It is the best looking design. I don't care if the T-Rex is Cretaceous or not. Right in the eye. I like how you can see the shot, that gust of gas that was used to shoot the goo into his face. So, um, oh my goodness, he, I cannot think of his name now. I wonder why we have IMDb. So, um, Nidri, I'm gonna find his name, Wayne Knight, who plays Nedry. Um, he said that he agreed that Nedry deserved to die, but was upset that, um, in the book it was a lot more graphic and that um, his death was more of an off-screen. You know, I don't blame you. Gotta go up in that tree. I like looking at um brand placement, the all-terrain tire, the Ford Escape, Jeep. You can tell who's put money into this. Reese's has come up a couple times, specifically more on Nedry's desk. But I think the all-terrain tires are one of my favorite placements because they keep just showing up nicely. It's not like the big Pepsi billboard that somebody's flying into. It's, oh, there's a tire on a branch. We're looking down at Dr. Grant. You can see the all-terrain tire. Or maybe don't move the wheel. Kid, trust us. I think all of us would have thrown up had we got thrown over the edge of the T-Rex paddock. Oh, Explorer. See, product placement, brand placement, sponsorships being shown. Here's another question. There's a car in a tree, and you've got to escape the car. Why not just go to the other side of the tree? Like, yeah, we need to get down, but also the car's coming to get you when you just go to the other side of the tree. Nicely done. They're all yelling for Dr. Grant. Nobody is yelling the kids' names, even though they're supposed to be going to get the kids. I appreciate that while this is a PG-13 rated movie, there is a little bit of blood, there is a little bit of language. This is really a good family-friendly movie for the most part. I mean, my nieces and nephews have been watching this movie since, you know, they could walk and talk. That's my brother and sister, my sister and brother-in-laws. That's their opinions to, let their kids watch. Um, but they've grown and loved the Jurassic World. They love, Chaos Theory. The animated series. Um, it has instilled love, and they don't find it scary. You know, I don't remember the first time I ever watched Jurassic Park because I did start watching it so young. Same with my siblings, and we live in a household where my parents were a little bit more concerned about what we were watching as younger kids. I let my toddler watch Jurassic Park with me the other day, and for the most part, he really didn't care. He's still very much more of a, I want to watch, my animated TV series versus watching a big adult movie. But, um, he'd stop and look at the T-Rex now and then. I just appreciate that, it is, while they could have done a lot of scary, a lot more gore, a lot more of an adult take with this, they didn't. And I think that's something that's maybe lacking in today's film industry is that, you know, it's a lot of mature content and they're just trying to push that mature content versus just having a good old fashioned, just family friendly movie and still have an amazing movie. Jurassic Park kind of proves that you can have it all. You can have a little bit of horror, you can have a little bit of blood, you can have a little bit of swearing, you can have the thriller, you can also have the drama, you can also have it family friendly. As a kid, again, kind of going back to the things you don't pick up as a kid, I always thought when, you just missed the driving scene, but as they're running away from well, driving away from the T-Rex, I always thought that Dr. Stettler was going shift, as in shift the vehicle because it's manual. And she's saying shift it into the next gear. We need to go faster. So I knew how a manual worked. But again, it wasn't until I was a little bit older I realized she was saying shit. Oh, and I was watching with the captions on. I was like, oh, oops. Has anybody else ever wanted to climb into this tree and just take a really good nap? It looks like a great place for a nap. I like how you look at, you know, Dr. Grant. Yeah, they're all, these three are just covered in mud and stuff. But if you look at the bottom of Sam's shoes, they're clean as a whistle. There's not a speck of mud on those. Gonna show his shoes. You ready? Not a speck of mud on his shoes. Those are brand new, right out of the box. So John Williams scored the movie at the end of February 1993 and recorded it a month later. He felt he needed to write pieces that would convey a sense of awe and fascination, given it dealt with the overwhelming happiness and excitement that would emerge from seeing live dinosaurs. So the power's supposed to be out here in the movie, for the most part. It's supposed to be a candlelit room. We got the fans running. Power's not working, so the ice cream's melting, but the fans are going. All of the cast were given a Raptor model signed by Steven Spielberg as a gift. It looked very frightening, and Ariana Richards has it in her house to shock anyone coming in, like a guard at the gate. Jeff Goldblum's model has a prime spot in his house and is the cherished object. Laura Dern put her Raptor model in her son's room near his crib. When he was older and saw it, he screamed like never before. She had to put it in storage, but hopes one day the two will be friends. Steven Spielberg liked the dinosaurs to do behavioral things that had nothing to do with the plot, like stopping to scratch, something he learned on ET. After making this movie, Ariana Richards developed a great interest in dinosaurs and assisted Jack Horner, paleontologist and advisor for this movie, and the great inspiration for the character of Dr. Grant, on an actual dinosaur dig in Montana the following summer. That's really cool. Anybody ever want to try that ice cream? I don't know what flavor it is, but I don't know. It looks delicious. Veggie stores. I want to pet it. Well, we want to pet it so bad. Ugh. I love it. Gross. While discussing chaos theory, Jeff Goldblum shamelessly flirts with Laura Dern. After the meeting, the two began a romantic relationship and were engaged for 2 years before breaking up. Goldblum is famous for striking up relationships with co-stars. I knew he was famous for getting in relationships with co-stars, but I didn't know he and Laura were in a relationship. So here we're seeing Dr. Grant discuss the frog DNA, changing sex from male to female in a single-sex environment. Frogs aren't the only ones that do that. There's most amphibians will do that. Salamanders, frogs. I believe cuttlefish, and I've also heard that clownfish will change sex. So, in the case of like Finding Nemo, because um, all of a sudden this male clownfish is all alone, he would have um changed sex into a girl. So he wouldn't have been Nemo's dad. He would have just been Nemo's mom again. Again, the power's out, but we have lights and stuff in here, so figure that out. I like how Arnold's socks are pink. The lysine contingency. The job of animating the dinosaurs was first given to Phil Tippett, who did several pre-visualizations with stop-motion animation, where models are slightly moved in between shooting separate frames. Motion blur would be digitally added to make the movement seem less jerky and more convincing, a process known as go motion. However, ILM visual effects artists suggest that most of the dinosaurs could fully animated on computers, although their boss Dennis Murin told them that they could never do a better job than Tippett. They created a test animation with a skeletal T-Rex anyway, which was shown to Kathleen Kennedy when she visited ILM. Kennedy informed Spielberg, who was intrigued and ordered another test reel. He was blown away by the final result, where a fully fleshed T-Rex walks through a desert. He and Tippett looked at each other, and Tippett said, "I think we're extinct." Spielberg liked the line and gave it to Jeff Goldblum to say to Sam Neill in the Visitors Center. Tippett later stated that he genuinely he was genuinely physically sick from feeling obsolete and left the set for 10 days, but was later hired to help design the computer-generated dinosaur movements. Again, I'm going to need an engineer or an architect, somebody to explain to me why the switch for the entire park is in one building, but all the breakers are in a whole different building on the other side of the compound. Why wouldn't they just be next to each other? Gallimimus. So the Gallimimus I can't say it. They were all CGI'd in. So if you watch specifically Tim when they're running right here, he's looking straight up, not anywhere where a dinosaur would be. There comes. He's looking straight everywhere, not at a dinosaur. Oh, there's Rexy. We love her, Miss Ma'am. Dropping the popcorn again. So here we've lost Samuel L. Jackson. He's gone off across the way. Well, because of the hurricane, um, he had gone off set and um wasn't able to get back to set to film um Arnold's Death Scene. Apparently, there was supposed to be like a whole chase and situation with the Raptors, but he couldn't make it back, and so they just kind of left it with his arm on Laura Dern. Sexism. Is it sexism or is it just being respectful? Not to get political, but I like Muldoon's hat. Hmm. Michael Crichton estimated that the screenplay has about 10 to 20% of the novel's content. I really should read this book. Director Steven Spielberg oversaw the post-production of this movie via video link while in Poland filming the Holocaust-themed Schindler's List. He later called it one of the hardest times in his life as a filmmaker, and it took such an emotional toll on him that his enthusiasm for the movie had almost waned. He said he needed an hour a day to muster up the energy to comment on digital dinosaurs and answer trivial questions from the special effects crew. James Cameron had stated he wanted to make this movie, but the rights were bought a few hours before he could bid. Upon seeing the movie, Cameron realized that Spielberg was the better choice to direct it, and his version would have been much more violent, um, which wouldn't have been fair to the children who relate to dinosaurs. Still, Cameron was quite instrumental in getting Jurassic Park made for two reasons. Seeing the alien queen in Cameron's Aliens is what convinced Spielberg to hire Stan Winston to create the huge animatronic T-Rex. And the second, the computer-generated visual effects in Cameron's Terminator 2 directly influenced the development of digital dinosaurs in Steven Spielberg's movie. That's fascinating. I guess it means power's out. You used a stick. Wood is not a conductor. It's so mean. I would have done it too, though. Tim is so tiny. He totally could fit in between those wires. Just give me the thing. I'm gonna dip. I do know that a lot of the CGI work that was done for Jurassic Park did influence paleontology work and helped kind of push paleontology work, and they kind of were able to see how dinosaurs moved really for the first time because of Jurassic Park, where they didn't really have that before. But seriously, why are the breakers just randomly alone with nothing else? Like, even the breakers for my house are better situated than that. Pushed close. Okay, just keep moving. 10,000 volts. I think it's so funny. She sounds just like a frog. I feel bad, but it's the truth. Why is the velociraptor's foot clear up by its face? Arm. During the scenes with the T-Rex, Steven Spielberg would roar like one through the megaphone. The cast cracked up whenever he did it. Samuel stated that was kind of more funny than anything, and the acting was not laughing. It's not easy. You're going hunting for velociraptors. Why wouldn't you put the butt of the gun down before? Man, that is just a crappy way to go. The Triceratops done back when we were experiencing the Triceratops didn't smell. It was made of clay, mud, and straw, and was drizzled with honey and papaya so flies would swarm to it. That's cool. I like how Dr. Grant uses his ascot to wrap up Tim's hands. The human piece of toast. Ariana Richards was upset by the fact that an action figure of her character was not produced. Kenner only made dolls of Grant, Sadler, Muldoon, Nedry, Tim, and eventually Malcolm. Well, that's sad. She got Tim, but not her. Not Lex. Where her pink shirt went, I don't know. But all of a sudden, there's no pink shirt. I'd be the same way. Snacking all of those desserts. The jello. Shaky, shaky, it's making. So my dog can open doors. This, our back door has the push handle, and she's figured out that if she jumps up high enough and drags her feet down, that the door will open. And so we have to keep the door locked. By the way, that velociraptor was looking right at Tim as they crossed. They sound like birds. They make the little bird. That's a brave sister. Poor kid's hopping on his foot. Yeah, open that. The kitchen scene was Ariana Richards' favorite scene. It was filmed in 2 weeks with in oh my goodness. It was filmed in 2 weeks with raptors there most of the time, and a man in a suit some of the time. Anyone in a raptor suit could only do it for up to 15 minutes because they were bent over in a downhill skiing position, which is very physical. The raptor clicking its toe was done on with a puppeteer walking on raptor legs. They did the same thing in Jurassic Park 3 when um the guy, what is his name? No, see, I can't even think of his name. Um, is laying and you see the velociraptors do the walk and then they dig the toe into the guy's back. That was half body suit. Michael Crichton wrote the novel because of his concern for the rise of scientism and the exploration of biogenetics for the sake of profit. You know what? Even today, when people talk about We're gonna bring back the mammoth. No, I have a wonderful series that you need to watch. Why we shouldn't bring back a mammoth or any other extinct creature. Despite his prominent billing, B.D. Wong has less than 2 minutes of screen time. He is, however, the only cast member of the movie to reprise his role in Jurassic World. Wong and Jeff Goldblum reprised their roles in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and in 2022, Sam Neill and Laura Dern joined for Jurassic World Dominion. All had important roles in the story. Dodson, the man who plays pays Neirdre to steal the embryos, also returns, but is played by a different actor. I did not know that, and I will be rewatching the series to find that out. See, there. All that lettering, that's DNA sequences. So you saw Laura Dern get up in the back there a second ago to help her. Didn't didn't really do much until she had to help pull her up. No, I'm not entirely sure how that velociraptor would have gotten through that little tiny duct. That would have been too small logistically, but that's me being nitpicky at this point. Whoosh. You saw her fall, but then she's holding on to it again. There's the whole thing crashing down on poor Tim. Poor Tim's having a crappy moment. Laura Dern has the same bruise on her shoulder as Lex does, by the way. Yeah, there's my girl. Not to endorse your part. See, look at their shoes again. They're all clean shoes. Despite being called Jurassic Park and having the reputation of being the movie that is all about dinosaurs and vastly repopularized them. The creatures only have 15 minutes of screen time. 9 minutes are Stan Winston's animatronics, and 6 are industrial lighting and magic of CGI. This means only 11% of the film is dedicated to the dinosaur scenes. Many people have therefore drawn parallels with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, which also used its creature special effects sparingly and leaned heavy on suspense by keeping the big shark off screen as long as possible, thus making the audience believe that they had seen the creature for much longer than they had in reality. And then we have the famous pelicans. In 2005, paleontologist Dr. Mary Schweitzer discovered red blood cells and soft tissue in the fossilized bones of a T-Rex, meaning dinosaur cloning may someday become a reality. I really hope it does not. As much fun as it would be. When the Utah raptor was discovered right before the movie's release, it had a similar height to the raptors depicted in the movie. Stan Winston joked, "We made it, then they discovered it." That still boggles my mind. Except for some very brief glimpses in the opening scene, the adult velociraptors, often cited as the most memorable dinosaur in the movie, don't make an on-screen appearance until over 1 hour and 43 minutes into the movie. Hmm. Steven Spielberg delayed the beginning of filming by several weeks to get the cast he wanted. First, he allowed Richard Attenborough to finish post-production on Chaplin before committing to this movie. He also wanted Sir Sam Neill, um, who needed to finish filming family pictures. Neill ended up only having a weekend off between finishing that movie and starting Jurassic Park. The Brachiosaurus chewing food was added to make them seem more docile, like a chewing her cud. However, it was not something that they did. They also limited vocal capabilities, but were given whale song, donkey calls, and penguin noises to make them sound melodic. There you go. Well, it has been fun watching Jurassic Park with you, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it too. Thanks for joining.